Good morning. It's July 15th, and I wanted to keep my comments a little bit short this morning. However, they are going to be a little bit longer. I apologize for that. But first of all, I want to just a few announcements. There will be no Sunday online presentation by the three congregations. First Baptist, Belmont Baptist, and Second Baptist. We're taking the week off. We will be back the following week. We may be changing our format a little bit to include maybe less of the worship experience and a little bit more of Bible study. And so we're just kind of exploring that right now and seeing what is in the best interest of our three congregations. The second thing I want to mention is that this coming Sunday, as you know, we've been broadcasting out to the parking lot each Sunday. And it's been going fairly well. We've had a few cars out there, and people are choosing to worship that way. That way they can hear the entire service. This coming Sunday, we are going to be doing that. However, it's going to be very hot. It's going to be predicted to be about 96 degrees this coming Sunday, so it could get a little bit warm out there. I just want to warn you for that. We are doing it, but it could be a little bit warmer. The other thing that we're doing right now is exploring how we might possibly be able to live stream our worship service on Sunday morning so that you can be at home and get the whole service, and you can also get visual. You can see who's speaking, and you'll get everything live, or it won't be live. Unfortunately, I've not figured out how to do live service yet in the format that we're using. But we will have it, and we will post it by early afternoon every Sunday once we figure this out. So we're working on it. We're not technical geniuses by any means. We barely know our way around any of the technology that we're working with right now. Then the next thing I want to mention is that each Sunday when the pastors get together and we talk about a text, that comes from the Revised Common Lectionary. The Revised Common Lectionary is a resource that is put out by a multitude of denominations on particular texts, assigned texts for each week of the year, of the Christian year. And so we've been following that. And the Common Lectionary, if you look it up on the computer, you can find the entire chart. You'll find the date, and then you'll find about 4 texts. You'll find one from the Psalms, and one from the Gospels, and one from the Epistles, and one from the Old Testament. Sometimes it varies a little bit. But this is a resource that I have used over the years on and off, not on a consistent basis. Probably about 25% of the time I've used the Common Lectionary. I feel the freedom to use it or to not use it, depending upon what my agenda is at the time. If there's a particular series that I want to preach, then I just scrap the Revised Common Lectionary, and I feel the freedom to do that. So I wanted you to know that, because you can look up those texts that we're using ahead of time that's assigned, and we've been using the Gospels pretty much every Sunday. And so this morning I'm going to be using that particular text, which will be for this coming Sunday. This coming Sunday's text in the Gospels is Matthew 13, verses 24 through 30, and it reads like this. Jesus told them another parable. The kingdom of heaven is like a man who sowed good seed in his field. But while everyone was sleeping, his enemy came and sowed weeds among the wheat and went away. And when the wheat sprouted and formed heads, then the weeds also appeared. The owner's servants came to him and said, Sir, didn't you sow good seed in your field? Where then did the weeds come from? An enemy did this, he replied. The servants asked him, Do you want us to go and pull them up? No, he answered, because while you are pulling the weeds, you may root up the wheat with them. Let both grow together until the harvest. At that time, I will tell the harvesters, first collect the weeds, tie them in bundles to be burned, and then gather the wheat and bring them into my barn. This particular parable is the second one of the seed. The previous one was about the sower that went out and sowed seed that landed on various types of soil and under different conditions, and how it sprung up quickly, and some of it died out, and some of it produced very good crops. But this particular one is speaking about the world in which we live, the kingdom of God, which is this world, the kingdom it's not just about heaven, but it's about all of the realm that God oversees. And so that's a good way to describe the kingdom of God. And in the kingdom of God, we know that there are good people and there are bad people. There are people who are followers of Christ. There are people who follow the wisdom of the world. They ignore the teachings of Christ. They ignore what Jesus is all about, and they live their own lives their own way. And quite often, it results in evil and that which is in opposition to the purpose and the plan of God. And so, these workers, obviously, the one who owns the vineyard, the I should say the field, is God. God has authority and dominion over the fields. And so the big question here is, what should we do with the bad seed, the weeds that have been sowed in the world? And we know that all around us right now are people that are difficult people to get along with. They're difficult people in society. We know that this past week in Lincoln, we had 2 murders in one day. There's been an increase of crime, possibly because of this coronavirus. I don't know what's causing it to increase. But nevertheless, we've got people in this world who are evil, who do bad things, who do deplorable things. And there are people in this world who seek to be righteous. And those seeds have been planted alongside of each other. They're not planted in separate places. And most of us would say, wouldn't it be great if everybody thought like we did? Wouldn't it be great that everybody lived the way we did? And not that we always live that great. We're all sinners. But we all think, man, why do we have to put up with all of these people around us who are evil and are sinners? And the reality of that is that's the way this world is that there are people that do not share our values. There are people that do not share our faith, do not share our behaviors. And so we're kind of stuck with them, I guess. And we work around it. We live the best that we can. But someday there's going to be a day of reckoning. There's going to be a day of judgment when all of this world comes to an end, and all of those weeds are going to be plucked up. They're going to be bundled together and thrown into the fire. It's a metaphor for the fact that there will be a day of judgment. There will be a day of reckoning where people are brought to justice for their evil. And this is all in the hands of the sower. All in the hands of God. God acknowledges that there is sin in the world. God knows that there is sin in the world. And yet we are to live with it, and we're to confront it as we live from day to day. And there's coming a time when it's all going to be sorted out. So that's the message that we get from this particular parable. A parable about the fact that I guess it speaks of our own reality. Our reality is that we don't live in a perfect world. We're not going to live in a perfect world. No matter what, there is going to be evil around us. May God bless you. May God strengthen you this day. And may God remind you moment by moment that he is walking with you. And may God bless you. Amen.